In this episode, I reflect the life lessons from a book that didn't change the lives of many but revealed who they already were, including me. So let's chat over a warm cup of tea. In this video podcast, I will highlight my favorite parts of the book and discuss how it comforted, validated, and helped me trust my journey in achieving my dreams, specifically here abroad. So, with that being said, this video contains spoilers. I'd also like to share that this is my first video podcast. I will be reading from a draft I wrote because writing is where my thoughts feel clearest at the moment, and speaking is something I'm still learning and growing into in my season of becoming. So, before I share the lesson, I want to say this line in the book first because I think this is the most important line. So, the book says, when you want something, all the universe conspires in helping you to achieve it. This line was actually repeated many times in the book, so reading this simple passage multiple times reminded me to the core not to give up on my dreams. It also emphasizes that our only obligation is to realize our personal legends, or you can say dreams, or something that you are meant to be doing. The book also says life is really generous to those who pursue their personal legends. I know that I don't often feel that way, but as I read and go along in this book, I realized that I'm on the right path. So, for context, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to become before moving abroad, or what I wanted to do for the rest of my life back in my home country, because in back in my home country I was so sad every day. I felt like my home country was getting smaller and smaller each day. I just wanted to breathe. I wanted change. I wanted to find myself. I wanted more. And because of that, I took a risk. I moved abroad, and that's where everything started. Lesson number one: everyone on earth has a treasure that awaits them. Some people no longer want to go in search of them. So, the treasure in this book represent our personal legends, or again, our one true goal. But for me, the passage really answers why all of us are unique and have different dreams, different path, different, just different. I believe that each person on earth was given one true goal, and it is our obligation to pursue it. Our one true goal is our purpose, our mission, and it benefits us and benefits the others as well. So maybe right now you're wondering what your personal legend is. So it's actually often the skill that you've ignored, a path you talked yourself out of, and a version of yourself you haven't really committed to. So I think the most helpful question is, what dream do you keep postponing because it feels risky, unrealistic, or inconvenient? That is your personal legend. Most people already know the answer, but they just avoid it or bury it with denials. And I think deep down, I know you know too. Lesson number two: if someone isn't what others want them to be, the others become angry. Everyone seems to have a clear idea of how other people should lead their lives, but none about their own. I have lots of relatives who give advice saying, I should have taken this course instead of this, or take this job instead of that. But they're actually the same person who wanted those dreams but never tried to pursue them. I don't take it personally because sometimes I know that it's a reflection of them, or they just don't want me to make the same mistake as them. They care, and that's how they care. As for my parents, they are like that sometimes too. They always wanted me to become that someone they personally know, who they think is successful in life, or someone like them. But I don't blame them. I know that they want the best for me, but sometimes our parents can only teach us what they know. They want us to become someone who gives them guarantees because the only thing that they are certain about. And in the end, they just don't want us to suffer or make a big mistake. And I have understood that since no one in my immediate family has lived abroad, specifically here. So pursuing an uncertain path that no one knows how it works in my family, it's as uncertain for my family as it is for me. So if I'm scared, they are also scared. If I feel uncertain, I'm pretty sure they feel the same way. So if you have people like this in your life, maybe try to pause and think if it's really you or their frustrated self or them caring for you in the way they only know how. Lesson number three. He had to choose between something he had become accustomed to and something he wanted to have. So, I was accustomed to being this type of person back in my hometown, but it doesn't align with the person I wanted to become. It doesn't align with my one true goal. I wanted to create. I wanted to teach, have lots of free time to rest, boost my creativity, go on an adventure, learn new things, but I was doing the total opposite when I was in my home country. In my home country, I was working two jobs that when both were not even related to creativity or teaching. So I couldn't even go on an adventure without thinking about my job, my work, my responsibilities. I may have rest days, but I don't think they're enough for me to recover or avoid burnout or even boost my creativity. So when I moved abroad, I was able to teach and had lots of free time to fully rest and recover and heal. I was healing. I am still healing and I am still in progress. And to be honest, it was not easy for me to discover my personal legend back in my home country because at home I feel trapped in a version of myself that everyone is expecting, has already set on, or a version of me that everyone knows without me realizing it, that I am actually trapping myself in that bubble, in that version. Maybe we should really reflect on what we are doing today, if it's aligned to the person we wanted to become, or if it's aligned to achieving our personal goal or personal legend. Lesson number four. He wept because God was unfair. Why is this happening to me? I'm doing my best. I'm giving my all. I don't do bad things. My intentions were for the good of everyone, but I don't see any returns. Or I can say the payoff doesn't match the hard work, blood, sweat, tears, and sacrifices. It really, really doesn't match the payoff. It feels so unfair. But then on, I always have that faith in the end because I believe that this is my personal legend. I am meant for this. And as a child of God, the universe, or whatever you believe in, it is our obligation to pursue and realize our dream because it is our purpose, it is ours. And I know that all of us have experience asking these questions too. Why me? Why is this happening? Why is it taking so long? But I realized that I'd rather suffer and ask those questions if it meant achieving my one true goal than settle for a life full of what ifs and not truly be happy. Lesson number five. The boy had been working for the crystal merchant for almost a month, and he could see that it wasn't exactly the kind of job that would make him happy. But he stayed with the job because the merchant treated him fairly. Why ask more out of life? Because we have to respond to omens. So, when I was in my home country, I can say that I was well compensated, but I was so unhappy every single day. In my job, I always admire those people in creative teams or creative departments. And when I got a very small creative task or anything close to teaching or creating, it made me feel so, so, so happy. So I think that whatever I do, wherever I am, whoever I'm with, art will always find its way to remind me to pursue it. And I do believe that we all have this too. Wherever we are, whatever we're doing, or who we are with, our personal legend or our ultimate goal tickles us in some way to remind us to pursue it. Lesson number 6. We have to take advantage when luck is in our side. So during my first year abroad, I told myself, I'm only here temporarily. Why bother doing this? Why bother doing that? But I never thought that I was so lucky to be in that moment. I was so lucky to live in the southern part of Spain. I was so lucky to have lots of free time and less pressure, and I was so lucky to be in my first year as a language assistant. But I realized my mistake after a year. I am always so focused on the part that I'll go back home anyway. This is just an 8-month contract and stuff like that. So, sometimes we are so focused on the bad things that are happening to the point that we don't realize the good things we have. For example, living with your family can be hell sometimes, but the good thing is you can save on rent and even food. And you can maximize that by saving more money. Another example is a stable 9 to 5 job. You might feel unhappy, but it actually gives you stability and teaches you skill for a while, so maximize it. I do think that we already have something that we need that is waiting for us to maximize it because this will eventually lead us to what we really want. Lesson number 7. I am already used to the way things are. I don't want to change anything because I don't know how to deal with change. I'm used to the way I am. So, this passage, I really highlighted this and made annotations because I'm really struggling with change. So, anyway, I have felt this recently. Well, I think almost every time. But anyway, I love my job as a language assistant. I teach with fewer responsibilities. I am so comfortable with this to the point that I don't want to do more. So when I read this part of the book, I realized that it's not the job that is comfortable, but it's just me who doesn't know how to deal with change or is really afraid of change. This also happened to me back in my home country as well. I was being offered promotions, but I never accepted them. Well, some promotions I can say are not really worth it, but there are promotions that I know that I wanted to try, but I chose to stay in my comfort zone rather than face or deal with changes. And I somehow regretted it. So maybe next time when we are faced with an opportunity that requires a massive change, before saying no, before listening to your fears, maybe we should ask ourselves first if we don't really want it, or is it because we are in our comfort zone and we're just afraid of changes. Even though I regretted that part, I I am so proud of myself because the greatest fear I faced was moving abroad. It required a massive change and I am so glad I faced it because if I didn't, I think I would be afraid forever. So I thank myself for facing this fear, and I still continue to face them until now. Lesson number 8. I can always go back to being a shepherd, the boy thought. I learned how to care for my sheep, and I haven't forgotten how that's done. If I don't find it, I can always go home. So, ironically, that line, I can always go home, it's actually comforts me abroad. Time I face a struggle or a challenge, I know that there's a country or a home I can always come back to. But right now, I have to face what I need to face, learn what I need to learn, and do what I need to. Lesson number 9: they are not my sheep anymore. So, there are lots of things that we are attached to. It could be things, memories, or people, but sometimes it's the old version of us because somehow that old version of us helped us before, but not anymore, not now, and not when you are trying to achieve your personal legend or when you are trying to move forward. So when the boy said they are not my sheep anymore, it's because at that moment he is trying to let go of his shepherd identity. So, just like us, maybe there are versions of ourselves that we really need to let go of for us to move forward easily and discover a better versions of ourselves. Maybe not now, but letting go of your sheep is already a big step toward your best version. And don't worry, your sheep will be fine. Lesson number 10: no matter how many detours and adjustments it made, the caravan moved toward the same compass pin. I think we all know what we want deep, deep, deep down inside. But somehow we get distracted, especially when the distraction feels safe and easy. One example is my brother. Hi, I hope you're listening. He is thinking about his way right now, and some offers seem promising to him. But I tell him that it's not for the long run, because in the end, his our heart will always look for what he wants and what he is supposed to be. That's his personal legend. So I made my brother promise that no matter how easy, safe, and promising the detours look like, I hope he will not lose sight of what he is supposed to be. I hope he doesn't lose sight of his dreams. I hope he becomes the caravan that moves toward the same compass pin no matter how many detours and adjustments it makes. And I hope we all do too. Lesson number 11: and when you can't go back, you have to worry only about the best way of moving forward. After my 8-month contract abroad, my mom bought me a non refundable one way ticket to go back home. But I didn't hop on that flight. And it was hours before my flight that I decided not to go back home. So that was that was really a moment, and I accepted the fact that I don't have money anymore, and I accepted the fact that I will be a disappointment to my family. I accepted the fact that I owe my mom and all that emotional damage, I think. And at that point, with my two suitcases and a backpack, all I can do is move forward as I cannot go back anymore. That's literally the only choice that I have is to move forward. At some point, you will feel like you lost everything and you need to start from scratch. And because you lost everything, moving forward sometimes feels like the only option you have left. So right now I am still moving forward. Lesson number 12: don't be impatient. Eat when it's time to eat and move along when it's time to move along. What I can say about this is to stay present as much as possible, as much as we can. Because we also have the tendency to overthink. When moving along, life could feel extra uncertain. Visa, job sponsorship. It's like anytime you can be asked to go back home. So I always think of the worst things that could happen months from now or years from now, and it's so unhealthy because it just adds up and it hasn't even happened yet. And you know what? Right now, after 2 years of living abroad, it really feels silly now that the things that I used to overthink for the past years didn't happen. Lesson number 13 is actually the love story part of the book. So, what I learned is some people you meet abroad have someone waiting for them back home. And yes, girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife, you name it. Long distance relationships are actually difficult for both sides. One person has to leave to pursue their dream, and the other waits as if time stood still. And in this story, the boy had to abandon the person he loved the most to find his treasure, his obligation, his one true goal. It also mentioned that the girl, Fatima, already found the treasure, which is the boy. So now the girl, Fatima, expects the boy to find his own. So the boy had second thoughts because at that point, the boy already had everything: money, experience, skill, and the love of his life. It's already right in front of him. But the alchemist told him if he stays now, sometime during the years, his dreams will keep haunting him. He will be unhappy, unsatisfied. The love of his life, Fatima, will feel guilty because she would blame herself. And in the end, you will always wonder and question yourself, what if you chose your dream? And the alchemist also said, you'll spend the rest of your days knowing that you didn't pursue your personal legend. And that now is too late. And also, the alchemist said, you must understand that love never keeps a man from pursuing his personal legend. No explanation needed. I do think that it's not just about long distance relationships, it can apply to any other relationships. We let go of a person sometimes because we know that we are not good for them, or the relationship is not just compatible. Even if it hurts, we just have to let go. Sometimes Fatima can also represent family and friends back home. So if you're living abroad or away, just like Fatima, your friends and family are also waiting back home and are always ready to welcome you with open arms. And just like Fatima, they are hoping that you are safe and doing well. Just like Fatima, the boy is her treasure, and as for us, we are our family's treasure. So now it's time for our family to let us go, for us to look for our own. So we are just like the boy too, on his way to pursue his dreams, but he never forgets Fatima. He holds on to a better future for them. We never, because we never forget our loved ones every step of achieving our dreams, because in the end, they will always be part of it. Lesson number 4. Why don't people's hearts tell them to continue to follow their dreams? Because that's what makes a heart suffer most, and hearts don't like to suffer. The second time I came back abroad, I really questioned myself. Why would you always want to suffer, Samantha? And I think that's my heart telling me it's afraid. My heart doesn't like to suffer. I mean, our hearts doesn't like to suffer. And I wanted to tell everyone, including myself, that the life we dream of is possible, but it's not just overnight. It takes time, it takes effort, it takes tears, blood, sweat, and tears, you name it. So, as the book says, tell your heart that the fear of suffering is worse than suffering itself. Lesson number 15. You gave them everything I had, everything I've saved in my entire life. So, since it's my second time in Spain, I felt so shattered, but somehow optimistic at the same time. I couldn't explain that. Ironically, they are contradicting somehow, but that's how I feel. So, choosing to pursue my dreams meant moving abroad again and meant giving up everything that I have again. So, I do think that when you are in your becoming era, at some point you will lose everything that you have to make space for greater things. So, the biggest question here is, are we ready to lose everything to make space for greater things? Lesson number 16. You'll die in the midst of trying to realize your personal legend. That's a lot better than dying like millions of other people who never even knew what their personal legends were. I am so afraid of not being successful. Anyway, while I was writing my draft for this video or podcast, I messaged my brother and told him, "Brother, if I die, please tell the people that I'm happy. I tried trying to pursue my dreams and I never gave up. So don't worry, it's never a loss for your sister." And yes, I really think it's better to die. Just now, I just realized that it's better to die knowing that you tried to pursue your dreams, you tried to pursue yourself, than die full of what ifs and never fully experience or know yourself. Lesson number 17. When you're loved, you can do anything in creation. So, there was this time in my life that I was so loved that it made me believe in myself. It's the type of love that felt safe, calm. It's a love that even if I failed to achieve my dreams, it's still there. It's a love that made me want to move forward. I was so loved that it made me want to love myself too. So, I am thankful to be surrounded by supportive loved ones who will always be there, whatever phase I am in life. And these people push me to do things. Love can really do wonders, and I will always, always thank them. I will always dedicate my success to my loved ones. I also had a host mom. I have observed that her children were so creative, and her house is literally full of art, her words, and how she sees things, which can definitely conclude that she's an artist deep inside. So I talked to her about art and I invited her to a painting session and I told her, "You know what? Never say bad things to yourself. Like the book says, don't say that again. Life might be listening and give you less the next time." So we have to be careful of the things we say to ourselves, especially the negative ones. It kind of really manifests. And I'm still learning how to not do that. I always stop her whenever she is saying, "Oh no, this is ugly. No, I can't do it." Or, "Oh no, I failed," and stuff, those stuff like that. So at the end of our painting session, I am so proud of her because she was able to make an art piece she never thought she could. Her children were so surprised and couldn't believe it either. So, sometimes we just need to believe and everything else will follow. I do think that when you love, you believe in that person even if that person fails to achieve something. Lesson number 18. So, at the end of the story, the treasure was actually just sitting outside his house. He traveled so far, struggled for years, and faced lots of challenges. But this part implies that the journey is as important and valuable as the dream. So he needs to learn first so he can do the right thing when he achieves his personal legend or his ultimate goal. So if life feels uncertain, slow, lonely, confusing, sometimes it doesn't mean that we're lost. It means that we are being shaped. So I hope everything makes sense. This book actually offers more. I think it is best if you read it. And I also think that this book would resonate with everyone, especially the dreamers. And I would also like and be happy to hear from you your stories, lessons you've learned, any advice, thoughts about the book, and anything. So feel free to comment down below. So, again, thank you for drinking a warm cup of tea with me. And my space is about building the life I want abroad. I post about experience and lessons abroad, my soft days, my lifestyle travels. So, again, this is Samantha. Right now, March 2026. I'm not there yet, but I know I will because I know we will. So I hope that at the end of this, we will make sure to pursue our goal no matter what, because surely it is written, it is ours, it's already there, just waiting for us. So thank you so much for listening, and I hope to see you at our next warm cup of tea. Thank you so much. Bye.